This is the story of how one woman went into the family business and gave it a new spin. Today's story is called The Show Goes On.
Season 3 of The Story features 12 trailblazers who created technologies that changed the world. The story is brought to you exclusively by Salesforce, the world's #1 customer relationship management platform. More than 150,000 businesses are using Salesforce to blaze their own trails to success. And now, on to the story.
Judy's parents were in town visiting, and she surprised them with a trip to the Computer History Museum. Her father drew her attention to every single display. Before she would look at one, he would point to another. Her mother was exactly the same. At the same time, they both smiled and pointed to a new display. It was the first stored program computer invented by none other than John von Neumann and his team. Judy studied the vacuum tubes of the computer on display and smiled. She got her son's attention and explained that this was something that his grandparents helped invent. This thing is a computer, her son wondered. Both of her parents beamed with pride and nodded yes. Judy explained how it was 1,000 square feet of glorified calculator. His grandparents had done the work required to create the smartphones of today. His grandmother had actually been the second woman in the entire country to get a PhD in electrical engineering. Judy's son looked up at all the displays with a newfound respect. They wandered through the galleries, following the evolution and the timeline of the computer. Her parents added color along the way. They had known so many of the scientists involved. They laughed about the failures, the blunders, and sometimes their success. When they rounded the corner and found the computers of the 70s, Judy's heart pounded. This was the era that she had started. The memories came flooding back. Unlike most college freshmen, Judy knew exactly what she wanted to study and where. Computer science at UCLA. Her father had started the CS department there. When Judy arrived, she devoured every bit of knowledge that she could. She wrote and tested programs all night long. Those were the days when running a program took a few hours just to see if it was going to work. Trial and error taught her discipline and problem solving. After graduation, rumors were flying. Rumor had it that the US Department of Defense wanted to figure out how to get computers to exchange information. Judy knew this was a massive opportunity, and word on the street was that it was all going to happen at Stanford. Within days, she had packed her things and moved to Stanford for graduate school. Once there, she asked around about who the best CS researcher was. The next day, she was in his office and requesting to join his research team. Her parents' reputation in the industry had preceded her, and Vint Cerf said yes. Judy became the youngest member of his research team and the only woman. Yet she felt right at home as they would work late into the graveyard shift and get a ton of work done. Under Vint's direction, they developed a transmission control protocol, better known as TCP/IP, the backbone of the internet and the World Wide Web. The team had no idea how revolutionary their project would be. As grad school ended, Judy started her job search. By this time, word had gotten out about the TCP project, and now companies like Xerox, HP, and Intel were all eager to hire those that had worked on the project. After a recommendation from a family friend, she took a different route. It was at a startup called Zilog. In the fast-paced startup environment, Judy felt out of place. She was a talented engineer, but she didn't know any other business functions like sales or marketing. In fact, it seemed like all of the sales and marketing roles weren't vital to the business. Judy reasoned that if the engineering was good enough, wouldn't the tech sell itself? It didn't take long for this idea to be shattered. She became part of the team that pitched Zilog's product to Exxon, their main investor. She quickly learned that sales and marketing were vital to every business. Judy made it a priority to learn, and fast. Her team demoed the product, but Exxon didn't get it. The Exxon execs passed. They couldn't imagine that anybody would want it. It was a new type of personal computer that could easily fit inside people's homes and offices. A short time after that, Zilog started to go downhill. But not everything was bad news. Judy had started to take notice of a fellow employee. His name was Bill, and he would hang out around her office and keep asking her what she was working on. They would talk for hours. She took a liking to him, and a few months later, Judy and Bill got married. After Zilog disbanded, the former employees scattered to start their own businesses. Judy and Bill followed suit, and in 1981, they started their first company together. It was a networking company called Bridge Communication, and it went public just 4 years later. The next 25 years were known by friends around Silicon Valley as the Bill and Judy Show. They were the ultimate power couple. She was the people person, and Bill was the hardcore numbers guy. She would be the good cop, and Bill would play the bad cop. In 1995, they started a new media company called Precept Software. Under their joint leadership and connections, after just 3 years, Cisco acquired the company for $84 million. But as part of the deal, Cisco wanted the magic duo. Judy became the chief technical officer at Cisco, and Bill joined their technical team as well. But that gig didn't last long. Working for a huge company was nothing like working for a startup. Both Judy and Bill missed it. They were itching to start another company. Innovation in Silicon Valley was shifting. It had evolved into a frenetic pace for short-term returns. Judy missed the Vint Cerf days of planting innovation seeds and developing new technologies that would take decades to mature. She and Bill stepped back. They discussed a new idea to build a company that would encourage real innovation, not just incremental improvements. They started the company and called it Packet Design. The idea was to be a startup incubator for companies that focused on success for the long term. They invested $24 million of their own money, along with investments from former Netscape CEO Jim Barksdale and Sun Microsystems co-founder Bill Joy. Packet Design would incubate, launch, and invest in the most promising ideas and companies. For a while, it looked like the power couple seemed to have created another success. But Packet Design only launched 3 companies before the dot-com bubble burst. One of those 3 spin-offs survived. The rest died. Soon, Packet Design folded, and so did Judy's marriage. Her whole world imploded. She and Bill had been working together for 25 years. They had built 7 companies together. They had spent all day with each other, side by side, building new things. The power couple facade was gone. Judy was looking at a new fork in the road, and this time, she was alone. She thought about what she was passionate about. One topic rose to the surface: increasing the rate of innovation. Judy was worried that the rate of innovation and technological progress was slowing down. She took stock of the situation and decided to fix it. She started investing into new companies and wrote a book called Closing the Innovation Gap. Judy was passionate about real-world innovation and media, and she would go on to join the boards of companies like FedEx and Disney. It's not about ego for Judy. It's about discovery and rediscovery. It's about contributing to a global legacy that's sustainable and that fuels the future. Judy in this story is Judy Estrin, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mother. She went into the family business of innovation and succeeded. She would even go on to start a company with her son. In Judy's words, each of the companies that I co-founded developed products that pushed the edge of technology and targeted markets that did not exist yet, as many startups do. Our early investors and employees had to trust in our vision. We, in turn, had to trust in our small, select teams and give them the freedom to execute the steps necessary for us to realize the dream. Entrepreneurship is all about trust. Judy's story makes a strong case for the type of culture where real innovation can emerge. Her parents, her family, and her children are proof that we can plan and create for the future. It is possible to collaborate successfully with friends and family. We can build family traditions around innovation and creating new technologies. It's been said that a society grows great when old people plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. So what trees, projects, or plans are you planting today? That's her story. What's yours going to be?
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Story. We have an exclusive giveaway for listeners of The Story, 2 free tickets to Dreamforce. Dreamforce brings together thought leaders, industry pioneers, and customers for 4 high-energy days of learning, inspiration, equality, fun, and incredible concerts. Head to thestorypodcast.com and enter to win today. Thank you again to our presenting sponsor Salesforce for sharing these stories of technology trailblazers who changed the world.
If you like this episode of The Story, please help spread these stories by telling one friend. Also, you can hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Story is created by our team here at The Mission. The Mission is your #1 source for accelerated learning. To get more stories and podcasts like this and our world-class newsletter, subscribe at themission.co. That's themission.co. See you next time.